You might wonder whether you should use the full set armor or mixed armor. If you don't know how mixing your armor pieces, then this video will help you. If you look at the damage and defense, the mixed armor is a lot better. For mixed armor you can replace the mithril greaves with adamantite leggings if you want extra 3 defense but minus 3% damage. You might ask, but Moo, isn't 20% melee speed bonus from adamantite armor is a lot better? Well, in pre-mech the melee speed is almost useless, because it's only increased velocity and range to non-sword weapon and it doesn't increase your damage per second. Depend if you want your range and velocity increased, then you should go for melee speed, but you will lose damage. For titanium armor, the stats is lower than the other two, and the bonus is only useful if you fight the destroyer with fetid bagnacks. For frost armor, the stats are really low and the bonus is not bad but not worth crafting it. So I recommend to use mixed armor or adamantite armor. In post 1 mech, the mixed armor gives huge stats compared to hallowed armor. The mixed armor also gives summon damage if you want to use minions. Hallowed armor bonus is great, but will you trade extra 14 defense and 21% damage for that? Mixed armor is the same as post 1 mech, and you can change monk's shirt to turtle scale mail if you want high defense. If we compare it with turtle armor, the mixed armor 2 has an extra 4 defense, 25% damage and 10% melee speed. The 15% damage reduction from turtle armor is really good if you want to be tanker, but the trade is not worth it. The chlorophyte armor stats don't look good, and the bonus is decent. The leaf crystal, when fire automatically, it deals around 150 DPS, and when you hit the enemies it deals around 270 DPS. In pre-cultist, you unlocked new armors. The first mixed armor stats are a lot better, and if you want high damage, you can choose the second mixed armor. You also can replace the beetle shell for Valhalla Knight's breastplate for 4 heal per second. But you will lose 8 defense and 10% damage. And you can change monk's shirt to shinobi infiltrator's torso if you want melee speed for these weapons. It has better defense, but the damage and melee speed is weaker than beetle scale mail armor. The beetle shell armor damage is really bad and the bonus is really good. If you get hit, you have to avoid the attacks for 3 seconds to keep your stack higher up. And for beetle scale mail armor, it's really good if you use these weapons. The bonus can increase the melee speed and damage up to 30% if you continue hitting the enemies. Mixed armor stats are good and you can replace mithril greaves if you want an extra 3 defense but minus 3% damage. Adamantite armor is also good too if you want the bonus. And for titanium armor, it has really bad stats compared to mixed armor. And the bonus is only useful for knock back the enemies when you don't pay attention. And for the frost armor, it has the highest defense and good damage if you want more defense. So I recommend to use mixed armor or frost armor. In post 1 mech, you unlocked new armors. It depends on your playstyle. Use mixed armor if you want high damage, use hallowed armor if you want the bonus. The mixed armor is the same as post 1 mech, you can replace mithril greaves with chlorophyte greaves for defense. The chlorophyte armor has highest defense and higher DPS than hallowed armor. The leaf crystal, when fire automatically, it deals around 150 DPS, and when you hit the enemies it deals around 270 DPS. These 4 armors are good and you can choose which one you should wear. If you are confused with the stats, the Shroomite headpiece damage boost is multiplicative. That's mean it gives 1.15 times damage instead of 15% damage. The more damage boost you have, the stronger Shroomite headpiece is, and it doesn't increase the damage to ammo. If you want to use any rocket weapons, you should use Adamantite Mask. Because the rocket ammo has very high base damage and Adamantite Mask will increase more damage to it. You can choose which armor you should use. Adamantite Mask is for rocket weapons and Shroomite headpiece is for bow, gun or anything except rocket weapons. Let's talk about Shroomite armor's bonus first. To activate the stealth mode, you need to stay still and don't get hit. This bonus is only useful for Old One's army and multiplayer. Do not use anything until stealth mode is activated. And that's the reason why you need to use mixed armor. You need to replace the leggings with Red Riding leggings for extra 3% damage and summon damage. Replace the breastplate with Valhalla Knight's breastplate if you want regeneration, but you will lose 26% damage. Or you can change to Red Riding dress if you want extra 25% summon damage, but you will lose 1% damage. The mixed armor has really high damage, but the defense is extremely low, depending on if you go offensive build. The adamantite armor has highest defense and good damage, and the bonus is really good too. The titanium armor stats are lower than adamantite, and the bonus is not that great. Because the bonus is only useful for knock back the enemies when you don't pay attention, and it's not worth it. And forbidden armor, it's only for mixed class with mage and summoner. So I highly recommend to use adamantite armor. The mixed armor is for offensive build. You can use Apprentice's robe for more defense and summon damage. But you will lose 2% damage and 10% reduction mana cost. Hallowed armor has more defense but less damage, and the bonus is great, so I recommend to use that. For mixed armor, you can replace Mystic Robe for Chlorophyte Plate Mail for defense, but you will lose 10% reduction mana cost. For Chlorophyte armor, it has highest defense, decent damage, and 17% reduction mana cost is also great. The Leaf Crystal, when fire automatically, it deals around 150 DPS, and when you hit the enemies it deals around 270 DPS. You can use any of these armors, depending on if you want to go offensive or defensive. The mixed armor has highest defense, damage, and massive HP regeneration. You can use Dark Artist's robe if you want extra 10% damage and 15% reduction mana cost. But you will lose 3 defense and massive HP regeneration. For Spectre Mask armor, the defense is really low and the damage is decent. And the bonus is not as great as you think. Spectre Mask armor requires high investment into critical strike chance. The damage orbs from the set bonus don't get affected by damage percentage, but does get affected by critical chance. Meaning, it forced you to build full critical strike chance to make it deal better damage, same as mixed armor. If you use Spectre armor full critical strike chance, then you should use these weapons, because it makes them stronger. For Spectre Hood armor, you can swap between 2 headpiece, one for damage and one for heal. But the defense and damage are extremely weak, and it depends on how much damage you deal. Losing 40% damage from bonus is really hurt though. So I will recommend to use mixed armor, and the Spectre armor is not worth to use. You might be wondering why I did not include the movement speed boost from armor. Because it's useless. You see, even if I have 98% movement speed, it only increases 1 mile per hour. It's only useful if you don't wear any boots, and it's also useful for double jump accessories. If you have any questions, leave a comments.